Hey everybody, I'm here with Ed Taylor from the American Turmeric Company. How you doing, Ed?
Hey, doing fine, Steve. Good to be with you.
Yeah, good to be with you too. Well, this has been kind of a fun journey just between us, and it's nice to finally meet you face to face, even though it's through Skype.
Yeah,
I'm really interested in what you're doing down in Georgia, and so if you can tell everybody a little bit about your company and how you guys got going.
sure. Thanks. Be happy to. We started this journey actually several years ago. My wife was working on a process that would extract the good nutrients and phytochemicals from plants without destroying them. So as we went down this journey, we got involved with turmeric and began to look at turmeric as this incredible plant that it is. 4 years ago, we moved here to South Georgia. Think just Florida and Tallahassee. We're just north of Tallahassee. So essentially, this is Florida panhandle area in the sense of the soil here is very sandy, which is what something turmeric likes. It likes
Hmm.
lots of water, but it doesn't like to sit in water. It's one of the few diseases that turmeric falls prey to is fungus. So you don't want the soil too wet. Anyway, we began to experiment and wonder if turmeric would grow here. So we planted, I'm sitting here in our side yard where sitting among 6,000 turmeric plants. Perhaps you can see some over my shoulder. We planted them here initially, and they just grew like crazy. They love the hot weather. They love the sandy soil. Um, they like lots of water, so we've got lots of sprinklers and underground systems that going here. But that's how we got started, Steve.
Hmm.
Just from this kind of humble beginning here, got really fascinated with turmeric as a plant. We've since grown and now have 5 acres of turmeric
Oh
that
wow.
we're growing, and we're learning a lot from it. It's one thing to go from growing turmeric on the side of your house to actually farming it. So
Oh, sure,
now,
sure. Yeah, and as you know, I'm just kind of growing it in my backyard and
yeah.
been interested in it, but I see all the plants back there in the background. And are all those 5 acres, are they just literally packed with turmeric, or do you have them kind of spread out in different patches or?
Oh, Steve, that's a great question because one of the things that we've learned about turmeric, I know this is going to sound odd, but it's a community plant. If you can see here over my shoulder, you can see the turmeric is just placed close together here.
Mhm.
When we first planted it out in the field, we planted it in traditional rows, a row of turmeric and then an open row and a row of turmeric. But we realized that turmeric actually they the turmeric plants gain strength from each other. I really believe there's this communication that takes place underground. So we've changed the way we do it. Instead of having a long single row, we do a bed now 5 feet wide, and we
Mm.
plant 5 rows of turmeric within that 5 foot row. They're closer together. That does two things. Number one, turmeric just seems to like each other's company.
Mhm.
But the other thing is turmeric, the leaves grow so big that they will shade out any weeds that grow. So they form their own weed control system. So, those are some things we learned as we went along this journey.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the business aspect of turmeric? We've kind of gone into the growing a little bit, but as far as your business, the successes and challenges, I know that it's a lot to keep up with, but I'm interested in hearing more about that.
Thanks, Steve. We're doing two things. We're growing turmeric on one hand, we're producing products and selling it on the other hand, which is an awful lot to try to accomplish. And there's some days I wonder if we aren't crazy for doing it.
Yeah.
But there are no commercial growers of turmeric in the continental United States that I know of. There are people that are growing it, in greenhouses, in their gardens, in their backyards, but nobody that's growing it at the scale that we are. Now, out in Hawaii, it's a little bit different, but in the continental United States, because first of all, there's only a small band, temperate zone in which turmeric will actually grow. So what we're doing is appealing to those people that want USA grown turmeric that has traceability. That is, we know where it came from. You know, we planted the rhizomes, we saw them grow, we harvested them, we packaged them, we did all the things. You know, we've had that so-called chain of custody all the way along the way.
Hmm.
So, you know, people like that more and more. And you may have seen that article recently that came out, a Stanford University study, that there was a significant amount of lead found in turmeric grown in Bangladesh
Mm.
and in some regions of India. And the same thing came out a couple of years ago. So people are looking for sources of turmeric as well as, you know, all sorts of other health benefits um, that they can trust. And we feel that's our role. For those that want to go buy pills at their discount store, that's fine. But for those that are conscientious about what they're getting and want what we call raw turmeric, you know, called the real thing,
Hmm.
then we appeal to that group. And we're producing a number of products around that. AmericanTurmeric.com is our website,
Hmm.
and people can go there and see what we're doing, both in terms of farming and in terms of our products.
Yeah. Can you just give us a snapshot of what different products that you have?
Right. We have, as we sit down and I have a spreadsheet somewhere of all the potential products we could come up with.
Mm.
And it is a long list. Before I get into the details, um, several months ago, we were contacted by a dog food company here in the United States. They wanted turmeric to put in their dog food. We've
Really?
been contacted. Yeah, no kidding. You know, well, some people treat their pets better than they do themselves, and they feed their pets better. So, you know,
Hmm.
it's natural. The same reason that we want to take turmeric, the same reason that you wanted to take it, you know, with the little aches and pains, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
People want the
Interesting. Huh.
same thing for their, yeah, for their animals. Um, and juice company, but we're building our products around the concept of raw turmeric. We have powder um, that has gotten a lot of interest recently because of these articles coming out from Bangladesh. We have powder. We have a product we call Georgia Gold. Georgia Gold is created using a proprietary, and I mentioned earlier, patent pending process
Hmm.
where we take the raw turmeric rhizomes, we chop them up, we process them through this probiotic fermentation process, and then we put them in jars, in 8-ounce jars. That is real raw turmeric rhizomes with the probiotics with it. So that's one of our products. That's great for your morning smoothie, et cetera, et cetera. But
Hmm.
because we grow turmeric, we're able to get the leaves. And I don't know how well you can see some of these leaves, but they're
Oh
big,
yeah.
beautiful leaves. And we
Hmm.
found that we could harvest the leaves and we cure them. And so we make a tea out of them. We call it turmeric.
Uh-huh.
Um, we also have a product that we're just coming out with. It should be on our website just within the next couple of days. It's a diet detox energy.
Mm.
It's built around a 6-day detox program using turmeric as well as other things that are in it. So that's where we are. But there, you know, there's a line of facial products, there's pet food, just anything you can think of just about. People can do something with turmeric.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I know some people that we're in contact with, they're interested in getting raw turmeric for manufacturing uses. You know, you had mentioned the
Yeah,
dog food, but
yeah.
even just small tea companies and things like that, small coffee shops around the U.S. Do you supply some of those folks
Oh
just with
yeah.
powdered turmeric and?
Yeah, we do, and obviously we'd like to do more. You know, the challenge
Mhm.
is there's a lot of noise out there about turmeric and just a lot of other things too. You know, so it's breaking through the noise and getting the message out of what we have. But we're working on it, and we think we have a good product to sell to people because it's genuine. On our website, we do something that I've never seen anybody else do. We have our turmeric tested, and we publish on our website the curcumin content as well as the results of our heavy metal testing, which is lead's a heavy metal, and that's one
Mhm.
of the problems with some imported turmeric. So we publish those on our website, and when we send out our products, when we fulfill an order for Georgia Gold or for powder or whatever, we include that information with the order so people can see exactly what they're getting.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, well, wonderful. Well, I wanted to ask you just as the turmeric industry as a whole, I've noticed and I've started to look at supplements more, and I had mentioned, I started taking turmeric just for my personal
Yeah.
arthritis in my hands and things like that, that a lot of companies don't actually publish the curcumin content. So
Oh
I've
yeah.
looked at a lot of products on Amazon. It always comes as a blend, which I thought that it was weird. They'll have like a 95% standardized extract of curcumin. So you can kind of figure out that one, right? Of
Yeah.
actually how much curcumin is there in there. But then they'll have a line item for just turmeric powder, but then they don't say how much curcumin is in that. I
Yeah.
kind of think as a consumer that I don't know if they're trying to hide something or what's really going on, but I see that pretty consistently amongst a lot of the major brands, and I just wanted to get your take on what may be happening. I, of course, don't want to get anybody in trouble, or I'm just not familiar with why they're
Well,
doing that. Or
Steve, I think part of the reason that's happening is because a lot of these companies that produce these products, particularly turmeric capsules that have powder in them,
Mhm.
they're buying it in huge bulk. They're buying it. I mean, it comes in a ship, and so they're pulling turmeric or turmeric powder out of the whole of a ship. They can't tell you where it came from. They have no idea where it came from. Because, for example, we were talking to somebody just yesterday. One of our clients called in from Washington State, and he had seen the article about Bangladesh. He said that and not knocking Bangladesh, but he said that he had lived in Bangladesh, and he knows what's going to happen is they'll take something that's produced in one country, Bangladesh in this case, they'll send it to another country and then ship it here. So it's not coming from Bangladesh anymore. It's coming from, someplace else. There. So I think to answer your question, part of it, these manufacturers don't have any idea where it's coming from, you
Mm.
know, and they don't care as long as people are buying the pills. Why should they bother? Um, so I think that's part of it. The other thing is perhaps they just don't want us to know. One of the big problems with turmeric um, from a consumer standpoint is not only the heavy metals in it, but the temptation to adulterate the products, to add other things, sawdust, silica. From what I've read, some of these suppliers of turmeric powder that are unscrupulous have figured out a way to dye silica and literally sawdust the same color as turmeric, so it's unrecognizable because turmeric's a real most mainly when it's powder, it's a real fine powder. So
Mhm.
you put these other things in there, and if you add 10%, bulk, you're just making more money. So that's our concern, but that's where our opportunity lies too, in that we have turmeric we grow here. We can show you from every step along the way where it came from and what's in it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I would love to visit your farm at some point. If I make
Yeah,
it back down to Georgia, as I mentioned,
come on back. Come on
we
down,
were
man.
there just actually last summer, so I wish I would have known you then.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, there'll be opportunities in the future.
good.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say one of the I think as you've seen the articles about all of the things that turmeric is good for. The different conditions, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
There's a certain skepticism that we have, skeptical of things on the internet, and rightly so. When I read the list of things that turmeric is good for, sometimes you just think, how can that be? But I found an article. I don't know how well you can see it, but this is an article, and I'd be happy to send it to you, Steve. It's from the American Association of Pharmaceutical Studies,
Hmm.
and it has a long, long list. It just goes on and on and on of some promising effects of curcumin. That's the main product in turmeric. There must be 15 or 20 diseases here, some of which I can't even pronounce. But then it says the old wait, there's more, it
Yeah.
said not only these things, but wait, it'll help with things like alcohol intoxication, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, these are peer-reviewed clinical trials that this article has
Mhm.
studied. So turmeric is a real deal. There's no doubt about it. It's got stuff in it that is just no other plant has it. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. Well, it sounds like maybe you need to get with a couple beer companies and start putting a little turmeric into
Oh
our
yeah, man,
beers that
yeah.
we drink
And
for all
you
these
you
football
you
games.
posted something the other day. You'd come up with sort of an interesting concoction there, I think, with some turmeric in it. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, there you put it in anything. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I did want to ask you actually two questions. So we can kind of end this by your thoughts on bioavailability, first of all.
It's interesting that a product that is this good for you, the body, our gut, our intestines have trouble absorbing it. Now, I can't give you all the scientific medical reasons why that's true, but it passes through the body quickly. The liver doesn't process it. But the key is something simple as black pepper, or piperin is the other black product similar to pepper
Mhm.
that increases the absorption in the gut. And I've seen different studies, 2,000 times, 10,000. I mean, it's hard for me to compute a number that big. If I have
Mhm.
$2 and then I have 2,000, you have 2,000 more, that's 4,000. So it goes from 2 to 4,000, in terms of absorption. Um, so it's really important to have black pepper, particularly if you're taking like powder or something that's had all the other parts of the turmeric plant ripped out from it, because there are a lot of essential oils in the plant that help absorb it, but when those things are taken away. So for people that are really taking powder, then that black pepper, adding black pepper, something as simple as just putting a little black pepper in there makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. Yeah, I did want to ask you. I'm interested in not only in turmeric, but just the farmers across the United States. What do you think that are the biggest challenges that have come up within the last, couple years on just kind of running a business? I know that you're outdoors and all, work in the fields, working for, looking for pests and things like that. But just wanted to get your take on farming industry in general and how that applies to you.
Oh, Steve, you can get me. Sorry, my background is business administration, engineering, not farming. But here I am in this new opportunity within my life to now be a farmer. My father was a farmer. He grew watermelons down in North Florida. He used to say, "Son,
Oh
whatever you
wow.
do, don't be a farmer." So here I am at this point in my life, and I've forgotten that advice.
Hey, it's never
Here,
too late.
but yeah, but here's the problem. We want to be organic. I mean, for a couple of reasons. Number one, we want to be responsible. We want to do the right thing as far as the farmland's concerned. But also, it's easier to sell a product if it is organic. The problem is the USDA requires there has to be a 3-year transition period from the time you start planting. So there's 3 years from the time you even start before you can get certified. But during that time, we're not able to use the chemicals that our neighbors use, the Roundup and the other chemicals. We
Mhm.
can't use commercial fertilizers. So we're fighting, the battles that come along with that, but we're not able to get paid the prices that organic, see what I'm saying? I mean, it's like we're
Mhm.
being penalized for wanting to do the right thing.
Yeah.
We One of the things we've learned, and what our expression is, the soil is our asset, not the turmeric. The soil. So we're working hard in building up the soil, because that's where the microbes are. That's where the life is. That's where the magic is. And if we can get the soil right, then it's going to produce the things that our turmeric plants need. So
Sure.
that's where we're working at. And that's what the struggle is. That's the hard part. We've had to learn a lot of lessons and a lot of different ways to
Sure.
do things.
And I'm sorry, Ed.